Good morning, people. I'll just wait for the notification to come up to let everybody know we're here. Give it a couple of minutes for people to come in. I've got an update. And yes, it's not very good. I'm not very impressed with Services Australia. This is just getting ridiculous. So, don't mind the dings. I'm in message box with the person that this is impacting as we speak. So, a little bit of a backstory. Mahailah moved from Hervey Bay, escaping domestic violence, to a country town in WA. She can't use her card in that town to buy food. Go to the post office, pay for somebody's petrol at the service station. She doesn't have a car. All right? They won't let her pay rent, which is getting ridiculous. This is 6 weeks now. So after lots of fighting and some help from Donna from the National Homeless Collective, Mahailah is hanging on by the threads. She's managing to pay up the extra out of her cash portion, but that's leaving her nothing for herself at all. Remember, she can't buy groceries in her town. You know, I don't know what we're supposed to do here. She's uploaded every document they've asked for over and over and over. Right? If she needs to get things printed out, she's got to travel 30 kilometres to the next biggest regional town to be able to do it. Because she can't get cash out in her little town either. So that means she can't use the facilities at the little tiny community centre because it's only cash only. So yesterday, they finally approved her to be able to have a cash allowance, to have a rent or allowance, to lift it from 0. All right? Oh my God. Bear with me because my patience is going to go, I'm going to explode. So this poor girl has been going through this for 6 weeks. Yesterday on the phone, yes, you're approved, finally. So she tried to pay her rent last night, declined. So she tried again today. All right? So she's messaging me as I speak, okay? So she's just tried to pay her rent again, declined. So now she's on the phone to Services Australia, and Ruston, this is your department. This is your baby. And apparently they didn't even send the request. After 6 weeks and uploading documents over and over again, arguing with people who don't know what they're doing, right? One of the documents was knocked back on the grounds it was out of date. Oddly enough, it wasn't due back in until like May the 21st. And at the time, it was April 28th, I think it was. And I've got a copy of that document with the date on it that it was required to be returned by. And they were saying, oh, no, you didn't return it in time. Right? This is just going on and on and on. This woman has a 9-week-old baby, a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old that can't pay the childcare fees, can't just hop on the bus, right? Can't access any cash in her town, can't do any damn shopping in her town because the IGA is banned, because he sells alcohol. But get this, she can buy alcohol. Go figure, right? But she doesn't want to buy alcohol. She wants to be able to buy food. So she has to rely on transferring some of her cash portion to her relatives and friends so they can drive the 30 kilometres to go into Woolies and get stuff and bring it back. And she's got to pay them in cash for the groceries that they're buying for her and the petrol that they're using, right? The last time she had an opt-out rejection, because she's had 2, they even questioned her as to what she sent $50 to her dad for out of her personal account. This is just over the top. And how I'm not dropping F-bombs everywhere, I don't know. I'm absolutely furious. I am absolutely furious because I swear they're trying to make this poor woman homeless, right? And I'm not going to forgive them for what they did to Tempest. All the way through Tempest's pregnancy, they made sure she was homeless because they wouldn't let her pay rent at her dad's place where she was safe and secure, right? Now, a lot of owners are now saying that they won't put people on the Indu card on leases, right? Tempest's story was exactly that. She was safe and secure living with her dad. But the owner wouldn't let her go on the lease because she was on Indu card. Not because he's discriminating against her, but because he likes to have his mortgage paid on time so he doesn't get default fees from his bank for late payments. Fair enough. I absolutely stand by that, landlord. That's fair comment. You can't argue with that, right? But Indu would not let her pay towards rent while she was living with her dad. And there's only so much paying of someone else's groceries or someone else's bills that you can do in lieu of rent, right? Mahailah doesn't have that option here. She can't go to her landlord and say, can I buy your groceries for you instead of paying the rent? No. She can't do that. That's not an option because she can't even buy food in her own bloody town because that's not an option. Oh, this is just ridiculous. They've got to get this woman off this card. They've got to. Right? This is absolute financial abuse. And it's only because her landlord's being absolutely wonderful and patient. But what if the landlord hasn't got the money to cover? Or is embarrassed? And because apparently the young couple that own the house, right, maybe they feel uncomfortable. They don't want to have to do the, sorry, you've breached your lease, we're kicking you out. Maybe they're just, I don't know. But this is ridiculous. This is how people get kicked out. This is why we've got so many families that end up with breach notice and breach notice, 3, and you're gone. Right? This is why we've got people, and all of the people I speak to in this predicament have fled domestic violence or have suffered domestic violence, and it's not good enough. They've targeted women and children that have fled domestic violence. And you know that when the domestic violence services of the refugees, right, deliberately send women and children to transitional housing in card areas knowing that they're going to be put on the cashless debit card. This is brutal. It is abuse. This is abusing women. It is penalising their children. And I don't know how much further we've got to push this. Do we need to raise a protest somewhere to let them pay rent? Because, I'm sorry, this is getting beyond control, all right? Rachel Seaward took her story into Parliament. What's going on? Rachel Seaward sent a letter to the minister last November when things stuffed up for this lady and she couldn't buy food. What's going on? Right? What the hell is going on? Why is it that the minister comes out on TV when Gwyn 7 visit the store and the town to prove that she can't buy milk and bread? On the card, it comes up with a big red X declined, but she can buy UDL alcohol. And Anne Ruston comes on TV and goes, oh, we'll get that rectified. We'll be in touch with the card holder. And they've never been in touch with her, except for all this crap now with these staff that haven't got a clue what they're doing. And for some reason, oh, yes, your rent is approved. They did this to Tempest as well when she got kicked out of her dad's because she couldn't pay the rent. She went to her mum's. Exactly the same deal there, but they said, oh, yes, you can pay rent. After 3 weeks of trying, she couldn't pay her rent. She ended up couch surfing while she was pregnant. The whole damn pregnancy, she was couch surfing between her mum and her dad's and her friends, right? And it's only now, she nearly lost that baby twice, I reckon, or nearly had it twice throughout the pregnancy. She had complications, right? And, I think they've only let Tempest pay portion of rent out of a cash portion, of course. She's not allowed to have her $200 every 28 days, right? Because she had a cesarean and she needed to be somewhere for stable. This is ridiculous. Mahailah and her children don't deserve this. Nobody deserves this kind of treatment. And Anne Ruston, get your staff and pull your finger out. Housing should be a human right in this country, and you seem to be festering homelessness, especially on women and children, right? Your government doesn't give a rat's ass, is not going to build social or public housing for anybody, right? In fact, you're busy cutting funding for all the housing programs in my state, and in other states you're shutting down the shelters and defunding everything. All for your precious cashless debit card to roll in the Northern Territory. You're defunding domestic violence and healing services. But you're going to hand those people a cashless debit card. Yeah. $1.2 million for their healing service. $44 million for Indu. I think your priorities are wrong. Get your priorities out of the profits for the shareholders and start putting services in for people, for humans, not for financial companies and their stakeholders. I'm really, really over this because it's money, money, money over everything else, and your whole department is sitting there going, all right, at card holders that are starving, card holders that are going hungry, card holders that have had their credit ratings destroyed. All right, this is not fair. This is not a trial, because if it was a trial, you would not have one person who would have lost their home, suffered financial difficulties, suffered mental health issues, suicided. At the end of your trial, are you going to compensate the families that have lost their loved ones? Are you going to compensate people for all of their destroyed rental histories and destroyed financial credit ratings? Right? This is not on. And it's just getting ridiculous. This poor woman just wants to pay rent, and you're forcing her to breach her rental contract by denying her access to the money to pay rent. And that's not right. That's not right. Why are you doing this to so many people? Oh, we don't know. We don't know. Or you go around and you tell senators, oh, but they can use BPay. No, she can't use BPay. Right? Oh, you can use Centerpay. No, she can't use Centerpay. Not every owner takes Centerpay or BPay. Not every real estate accepts Centerpay or BPay. Right? And you can't force them to. In fact, in trial areas, you've got real estate agents now who don't accept people on the InduCard. Period. They shut down the ability. They stopped accepting Centerpay. They stopped accepting BPay, and they've made sure they don't accept people on the InduCard. So how does that work? Oh, it's to make sure people pay their rents and they're not wasting their money. You're not letting them pay rents. Where's the money being held? Why can't Mahailah pay her rent? Where is that money being held? The question needs to be asked now, why isn't her money there for her to transfer to pay her rent to her owner? That's the only thing I can think of is why are you delaying so much? Is the money not there for you to be able to honour it? Because you're holding a lot of people's money in all these accounts. But oh, that's right, Indu owns that 80% now, so you don't have to account to the Senate, to the government, to the person who's contracted to you without their consent. You don't have to be responsible or accountable to anybody because you've got that money already. You're just refusing to release it for them to do what they need to do, which in Mahailah's case is pay rent, pay bills and buy food. Right? There's no supports for this young woman in the town that she's in. She is on her own. I don't know what you expect from people. You're not giving her any support. You're making life damn well difficult. Pay her bloody rent. Don't say, oh, we've approved it and it still won't go through. Why is she on the phone again today, right now? And then she's being told they didn't even send the request through. This has been going on for 6 weeks. And the person on the phone hasn't sent through the request to lift the housing limit from 0. What sort of bullshit is this? So all the people she's spoken to have not sent the request through for the approval, right? What the hell are you doing, Services Australia and Ruston? Pull your finger out, because I'll tell you now, you're killing our kids and our women out here. You talk about women's safety, you'll put them on the street. Your Services Australia is releasing information through MyGov to perpetrators that women are in hiding from, right? And they've been forced onto the cashless debit card so they can't run again. They can't hide again because they can't get out. I'm more than bloody angry that this is happening to women and children. Target single mums. Target those that have been abused. Right? Target those that are disabled. Target those that have got disabled children and are the carers. Sick of it. I'm so sick of it, and I have every right to be as angry. And everybody out there, you ring Anne Ruston's office, please, and start telling them, pay Mahailah's rent, pay Mahailah's rent. Hashtag pay Mahailah's rent. This is not good enough and we need to stand up. This is not good enough. And as you can tell, I'm over it. I'm standing in solidarity. I wish I could give this girl a hug, but I'm something like 5,000 kilometres from her and I can't give her that sort of support. But Mahailah, I'm here. We're in solidarity with you. And I'm asking everybody now, ring Senator Ann Ruston's office and the hashtag pay Mahailah's rent. Pay Mahailah's rent. If we can't do something physically, we can do an online bloody protest. Services Australia, do your damn job. You took over these people's lives without their consent. You took their money and gave it to a private company without their consent. Now bloody well fix it for them. Thank you guys.